I wanted to just bring up one match. It wasn't a gigantic match, but it was a WrestleMania moment. This was Victoria and Molly Holly. Because
hair versus hair.
It was hair versus title, I believe. So Victoria's hair was never on the line. But the thing was, and I've talked about this extensively on our channel, the women probably got less respect than the tag teams. You know, they were there for TNA, for old perv man Vince to get his rocks off. And both of these women were established, capable, technical wrestlers. Molly had been in the business for, about 6-7 years at this point? She was trained by Dean Malenko. She knew how to go, and there wasn't going to be a match on the card for them. The only reason they got this match, the only reason the women's champion got to defend her title at WrestleMania was because she basically said, I will give you a WrestleMania moment. How about we shave my head? Remember the thing from that 70s show? It was like, guys have their cars, girls have their hair.
And it's still that to this day. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you could certainly see more people embracing, the bald is beautiful. But, hair is very important to a woman.
Yeah. It is a big factor in their identity.
Yeah.
And this sort of thing that she's willing to sacrifice her entire look, her appearance, in let's face it, something that's meant to publicly humiliate her for the sake of just getting on the show. Because they're not going to put her in the Playboy evening gown match, and neither of them should be in an evening gown match. Not because they're not attractive. They're both very attractive people. But because they are wrestlers on a wrestling show. They weren't John Laurinaitis, lingerie model hires.
It goes to show the evolution of the appreciation of women's wrestling. Mm-hmm. How, it was hair pulling and snapmares to, now the women's roster that we have today.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the very few things that I say that is better about the current product is, we're actually getting the proper respect for women's wrestling.
Oh man, there are people in my comment section who hate modern wrestling because of it. They want to go back to the lingerie models.
I will say this though. I agree to the extent that why can't some of that still be there?
Right. Is there any reason we can't have both?
Yeah, exactly. Remember they used to have, the Divas magazine or Divas on the Beach.
Yeah.
To me, that was that they were strong and beautiful.
Yeah, because for the longest time, the way of the wrestling world just never had them both sync up. You could have talented wrestlers, or you can have attractive women. But and this really did start to change with Lita and Trish.
Yeah.
Because Lita was someone who trained to wrestle and then started to embrace her attractive side, whereas Trish was the opposite side. She was a model and a yoga instructor who was very attractive, who wanted to put the work in and learn to wrestle. So they found that middle ground, and it's tough. You cannot please everyone in this business.
It's true. But I would agree that the complete abandonment of that side, the feminine side of the women's wrestler, I don't agree with that. Again, so Trish, Lita, Victoria, those are all prime examples. Ivory, Jacqueline, who all participated in swimsuit shoots and also were great wrestlers. So why can't we have that with Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley? Why can't
with their consent, of course? That's got to be the big thing. If Rhea Ripley says, "I don't want to do this because I'm here to," she wouldn't.
Well,
if you follow Rhea Ripley online, she is so happy with how many people are thirsty and want her to step on them or would like to have her sit on their faces. Like right. she's embraced it, and she's actually put out a thing saying thanking the pervs.
It's come to the point now because we don't have these swimsuit pictorials and such. You go online and you'll just find people who take ringside photos of the women's wrestlers in their ring gear, and that's what we have to look at. We have to look at their bottoms and their curves, but they're not it's like a unofficial photo.
It feels creepy. It's like voyeurism to me.
Yes,
but
yes.
I
like
get
if
so
Becky is bending over the top rope.
Or Liv Morgan sits on the middle rope, like she leans against it. Like, and I have a problem with this too, again, because for people who have followed my channel, who know me on a more personal level here, I have a lot of experience working in the adult industry. So, it bugs me, though, as a wrestling fan, when I'm in a group and people talk about, let's have an appreciation for this wrestler, and it's 4 bikini pictures, and it's like, have you ever even watched their matches? Like, is this something, is there anything about their wrestling that you like? I mean, can you imagine if people are like, this is a Gable Stevenson appreciation post, and it's just, him in a freaking Speedo. It's like, well, he's a shit wrestler, so should we be appreciating him as a wrestler?
Yeah, I think there should be, like I said, I do appreciate, and I think that it's the right move that we focused more on the women as wrestlers. But I do think that there is space for them to still be sexy women.
Absolutely.
And I don't agree with the total erasure of the swimsuit edition and those kinds of things.
And that's something I appreciate with AEW. They tell the women, do what you want. When it comes to their roster, I'm trying to think how many women on the AEW roster have OnlyFans and do the modeling shoot still. You got Toni Storm, you got Kiera Hogan. You've got, I was going to say Paige Van Zant, but she had one match and then never came back. Like, these people, if they want to do it, they want to show off their bodies, and they want to, put that attract. Because it's also a thing about trying to show their femininity.
Yes.
I'm not saying they have to do it, but if they want to do it, let them.
Let them, absolutely. And, even recently in AEW, there's Mariah May, who... look on her Facebook. It's all pretty sexy. It's hot stuff.
Oh, she interacts with the pervs. It's fantastic. Yeah, if you don't watch it, I do always recommend it. There's a show that AEW puts out on their YouTube channel every Sunday, Hey EW with RJ City. Watch the Mariah May one.
It's really funny.
It is hilarious. I think they've only had a couple duds. And again, it lets them do something that they may not have time, or it may not fit the format of TV. When it comes again to this women wrestler versus attractive women on a wrestling show, one of the best, it's a common trope, and maybe it's even a bit of a cliche, but opening up that opportunity also gets the perfect moment for, say, Zoe Stark to come to the ring and be upset that attention is going to these women in lingerie and evening gowns when she busts her ass and wrestles. So you can have those storylines, that intermingling. It gives them something to do, because a big problem with a lot of wrestling across all these shows now, proof that women are an afterthought, if they're not in a title picture, they're not on the show. So giving this sort of opportunity allows for extra storylines to be created so that they can actually be better utilized. Yeah,
and you bring up a good point of, if they don't want to, go in that sort of sexy model route, they don't have to.
You got 138 people on that roster. Put someone in who does want to do it.
You shouldn't have to. I mean, and this is the great example of being restricted is certainly Mandy Rose, who was making much more money as eye candy.
Yeah,
she was doing pretty risque things.
Yeah, that's just it. She was going against the ambassadorship clause. Like, she wasn't posing in a bikini; she was rubbing her bikini bottom. There's a bit of a difference.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was really risque, admittedly. But I never found the Divas swimsuit stuff. It was sexy, but I never thought it was pornographic. I never thought it was. I never thought it was tasteless. Some of the angles they did, the wrestling in the mud and the pole match and the bra and panties match, those could have been seen as lewd.
There's a lot of pudding and Jello and mud that a lot of us have. I was going to say a lot of us have blocked out. It's not that we blocked it out; it's that it was a 3-minute segment, so it wasn't an important part of the show.
Yeah.
It happened a lot. Every now and then I will talk about a different moment that happened in women's wrestling on WWE programming. There's a lot.
Yeah. So I think that there should be, like I said, I'm glad that, yes, women have rightfully been recognized and transitioned to being seen seriously as wrestlers, but I think that there could be a better balance between embracing more of that, traditional femininity and being sexy. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
I guess it wasn't going to be on the card that we were going to talk about, but since it does tie into this, how women are used on the show, the whole purpose of Christian versus Chris Jericho was over who had the bigger crush on Trish Stratus. So I mean,
that was the storyline, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, at least it gets them on TV, but the trade-off is that her value, and Trish Stratus, again, even at this point, is a good, capable wrestler. Her purpose is being the title belt, right? She's the prize to be won.
That's right.
So
that's a great point.
So there is a line that has to be done, and you got to consider who consents to it and who doesn't. Because, I mean, we're, especially with the Vince McMahon allegations, we've even been hearing about Maria Kanellis and Tori Wilson being instructed to do things that they did not want to do at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a much bigger conversation than just WrestleMania on its own. Christian won that match, by the way, because Trish turned heel on Jericho.
And so, you're right that it says a lot, I think, about how women were appreciated. That Molly Holly had to offer her hair just to be on the show.
Right.
The 20th anniversary of WrestleMania, and and Vince said, okay. And even then, how long was that match? 6-7 minutes at most.
4:52. I've got it all pulled up.
Wow. So there you go. I mean,
yeah, it wasn't the shortest match on the show.
Well, they're okay. I guess that's something too.
Not when I give you this tidbit. The shortest match on the show was Tori and Sable against Jackie and Stacy.
Oh yes.
So the two shortest matches were the women's matches. They combined for 7 minutes and 25 seconds.
I guess it was better than WrestleMania 19. They had the Miller Lite Catfight Girls.
Oh God. Well, at least that's their job. They are the Miller Lite Catfight Girls are models who promote beer. I'd say it's better than HLA.
The ingenious mind of Eric Bischoff.
And we can't. That's one of those things where we got to know that was actually a Bischoff idea. And I'm certain it was because, again, he had an extensive history and background in television. And Eric Bischoff was also responsible for WWE's participation with Girls Gone Wild. Like, this was him setting up the deal. The whole pay-per-view exists because of Eric Bischoff. It wasn't just on-screen figurehead talk. Like, that was what he did, because sex sells.